Dear students, welcome to Tungal online classes. In previous class, we have studied the series LCR circuit and we have derived the expression for the impedance of a series LCR circuit. Yes, today we shall start with the RL circuit, that is the resistance inductor circuit. Let us consider a resistor of resistance of capital R and an inductor of inductance L, which is connected across an AC source of voltage. Yes, let V is the voltage applied, V is equal to V naught sin omega t. Yes, and let VR is the voltage across the resistance and VL is the voltage across inductor. Yes, and we know in the case of a resistor, the current and voltage are in phase with each other. So that I will show it here. For the resistor, current and voltage are both in phase. Okay. But when we consider the inductor, the current lags the voltage by 90 degrees. Yes. So if I show the current along x-axis, the voltage has to be ahead of this current along y-axis. Okay. So this is how the current and voltage vary in case of inductor. Yes. Let us plot the phase diagram here, phasor diagram. Along x-axis I will show the current. Yes, then the voltage in the resistor, that is VR, that is in phase with this current. So that voltage also I will show it along x-axis. Okay, and we know the VL is leading the current by 90 degrees. So that VL I will show it along positive y-axis. Okay, let this be OA represent VR and OB represent VL. Yes, the only difference between this circuit and the LCR circuit, we don't have capacitor here, so there is no voltage across capacitor. Yes, the resultant of these two voltages, so that is V, that is vector sum of VR and VL. Okay, so for that let me construct a parallelogram here, that is the rectangle. Yes, I will project it here. So this corner, this O to C, let me call it as C, this will give me the resultant voltage. Okay, so this is also equal to VL. Let phi is the phase angle between the resultant voltage and the current through the circuit. Yes, and let us write the equation for resultant voltage. I can write V is equal to what? Square root of VR square plus of VL square. Yes, and this I can write it as square root of VR is I into R whole square plus I into XL whole square. Yes, that is equal to square root of I can take it outside, inside I can write it as I into root of R square plus XL square. Yes, and this resultant voltage I can also write it as I into Z. Yes, by LHS and RHS I can simply write Z is equal to square root of R square plus XL square. Yes, if you remember the LCR circuit we had, Z is equal to root of R square plus XL minus of XC whole square, assuming XL is greater than XC. Yes, only in this equation we are substituting XC is equal to 0, then we get the impedance for RL circuit. Okay, then the phase angle between the resultant voltage and current is given by tan phi is equal to opposite side divided by adjacent, that is VL divided by VR. Okay, VL is equal to I into XL divided by VR is nothing but I into R. Yes, so I can write tan phi is equal to XL divided by R, that is the ratio of inductive reactance and the resistance of the resistor. Okay, by this is the impedance of RL circuit and this is the expression for the phase angle between voltage and the current for RL circuit. Yes, similarly we shall consider the resistor capacitor circuit, that is the AC circuit which contains resistance and capacitor. Yes, which contains the resistor and capacitor. Let us see the capacitance of the capacitor. This is the voltage V is equal to V naught of sin omega t. I is the alternating current flowing through the circuit. Okay. So here also we shall plot the phasor diagrams. For that, first we shall consider the current and voltage through the resistor, both are in phase, so that I am showing it here. Yes, but in the capacitor current leads the voltage by pi by 2 radians. So if current is along positive x axis, the voltage, that is Vc, across the capacitor, that will be behind current by pi by 2 radians, that I am showing it here. Okay, let us plot the phasor diagram here. Along x axis I will show the current, positive x axis I will show the current. Yes, and hence the voltage across the resistor is also in phase with current, that is also shown along x axis. Let me write it as O to E. Okay, and Vc, that is the voltage across capacitor, that will be lagging the current by pi by 2 radians, so that Vc will be along negative y axis. Yes, and let us construct the parallelogram using these two vectors. Yes, so let this be point B. The diagonal of this parallelogram will give me the resultant voltage V, and let phi is the phase angle between the resultant voltage and the current through the circuit. Okay, then let us write the equation for the resultant voltage. Resultant voltage is equal to what? Square root of VR square plus of Vc square. Yes, that is equal to square root of I into R whole square plus of I into Xc whole square. Yes, let me write I outside. I can write it as I into square root of R square plus Xc square, and this resultant voltage I can also write it as I into Z, where Z is the impedance of a given circuit. Okay, by comparing these two LHS and RHS, I can write Z is equal to square root of R square plus Xc square. Yes, so we remember again the impedance for LCR circuit we had square root of R square plus XL minus of Xc whole square. Just by substituting Xc is equal to XL is equal to 0, we do not have inductor, so I will get this equation. Yes, then for the phase angle I can write tan phi is equal to, since the voltage is lagging the current by 90 degrees, to show that I will write it as a minus. Okay, angle is negative side, so tan phi is equal to what? That is opposite side by adjacent side. I can write it as Vc divided by Vr. Yes, Vc divided by Vr, that is equal to I into Xc divided by I into R. So I can write tan phi is equal to minus of Xc divided by R. Yes, this negative sign just indicates the voltage is lagging the current. Yes, then by this I can get what is the phase angle between the resultant voltage and the current when we have RC circuit. Yes, next we shall derive the expression for the energy stored in an inductor. Let us consider a pure inductor circuit. Let L is inductance of the inductor. Let this inductor is connected to the alternating source of voltage. V is equal to V naught of sin omega t. Okay, that I is the current flowing through the circuit. Since there is changing current and EMF is induced in the inductor, that EMF is given by E is equal to minus of L into di by dt. Yes, since this EMF induced opposes the cause producing it, that is the changing current, we call this as a back EMF. This is also called a back EMF, and it is written with the negative sign here. Okay, but to maintain the current through the inductor against this opposing EMF, there has to be work done. Okay, so that work is done by the source of voltage here. So the rate of that work done, or the power is given by dW by dt is equal to EMF into current, that I can write it as E into I. okay, and E is equal to what? The magnitude of E is equal to L into di by dt into I. Okay, this I can rewrite it as a dw is equal to what? Li into di. Okay, and the total work done is integration of this dw, that is equal to integration of Li into di. Okay, this L is constant, I can write it outside. So L into integration of I into di. Okay, this integration of dw is the total work done. The total work done is equal to L into integration of I is equal to I square divided by 2. Okay, so this work done equation I can write it as half Li square. Okay, this work done gets stored in the inductor in the form of electromagnetic energy. Yes, so electromagnetic energy, or I can write it as UL is equal to half Li square. Yes, this is the expression for energy stored in the inductor when it is connected to alternating source of voltage. Next we shall understand the important concept of LC oscillations. Yes, for that we shall consider a circuit which contains an inductor and a capacitor. Okay, let L is inductance of the inductor, C is capacitance of the capacitor. Okay, and let this capacitor is connected to a DC battery which is used to store the capacitor. Yes, and here we have two keys, key K1 and key K2. To charge this capacitor, first we shall open this key K2 so that this circuit is open. Okay, and when we close this key K1, when the key K1 is closed, yes, this capacitor starts getting charged. Okay, and let us consider this capacitor is charged to the maximum extent. Okay, and this fully charged capacitor we are considering here. Okay, and the creation of these oscillations we shall study step by step into 8 different steps. Okay, then first what we are considering a capacitor which is completely charged. Yes, and here we have the inductor of inductance L. Yes, so in the first stage this key K2 is open. Yes, so when the key K2 is open, when the circuit is open, whatever energy is there, that complete energy is stored in the capacitor in the form of electric field energy. Okay, and there is no flow of current through the circuit, hence there is no any energy stored in the inductor. Okay, hence the energy stored in the inductor is equal to 0. Whatever energy is available, all the energy is stored in the capacitor. Yes, then next what we shall do, let us close this key K2. Let us consider the key K2 is closed. When the circuit is closed, yes, there is current flowing through the circuit. Yes, and this capacitor starts getting discharged. There is flow of current from a capacitor through inductor like this. Okay, this is the current flowing through the circuit. When the current flows through the circuit, the charge in the capacitor starts reducing. Yes, and there is energy stored in the inductor because of the magnetic flux induced around this coil. Okay, so these indicate the magnetic field lines here. So because of this magnetic flux induced, there is energy stored in the inductor. That energy stored in the inductor we call it as a electromagnetic energy. Okay, at this point of time, at given time, there is some energy stored in the capacitor and remaining energy will be stored in the inductor in the form of electromagnetic energy. Okay, there is some energy stored in the capacitor which is represented by this bar, and there is some energy stored in the inductor at given point, that is represented by UB here. Okay, and this total energy will be equal to initial energy stored in the capacitor because of charging. Yes, then next what happens in the stage 3, the capacitor gets completely discharged, all the charge gets depleted. Okay, at this point, whatever energy was stored in the capacitor, all that energy gets stored in this inductor in the form of a electromagnetic wave. Okay, and when the capacitor completely gets discharged, we don't have any current at that point of time. Okay, all the energy is converted into electromagnetic energy. Okay, and the current stops in the circuit. Yes, so that is the stage 3. Yes, then in the next step, whatever magnetic flux stored in the coil, that starts getting depleted. Okay, so this capacitor, this discharged capacitor starts getting stored in the step 4 by the help of the electromagnetic energy stored in the inductor. Yes, the inductor which is having maximum flux that starts charging this capacitor in the opposite direction. Yes, the direction of the current is same, but the charging polarity will be opposite to the initial polarity. So here this is the positive terminal, but here the same terminal starts getting negatively charged. Yes, because of this flow of electric current. Okay, so now in the step 4, the capacitor starts getting charged. Yes, and the magnetic flux in the coil starts getting reduced. Yes, and this is the direction of the current. At this point, in this step, some of the energy will be stored in the capacitor and the remaining energy will be available in the form of electromagnetic energy in the inductor at the given point of time. Okay, next what happens, all this magnetic energy, all this electromagnetic energy stored in the coil, that gets converted into electric field energy in the capacitor. Okay, you can observe in the step 5 we have more electric field lines shown here. Yes, so that indicates Q is maximum, the charge is maximum, here flux will be 0. Okay, all the magnetic flux is depleted here. Yes, so at this point of time, again the current is equal to 0. When the capacitor is completely charged, the current stops at that point of time. Okay, so in this position, the capacitor is charged with opposite polarity compared to first step. Yes, and we don't have any magnetic flux in the inductor. These two positions are similar, but only the polarity of the capacitor is opposite. Okay, now again this completely charged capacitor starts getting discharged. Yes, so that will allow the flow of electric current in this direction, and again the magnetic flux is induced around this inductor. Okay, so now again, so as the electromagnetic energy is stored in the inductor, the equal amount of energy will be lost by the capacitor by the discharge. Yes, again the capacitor starts getting discharged and the energy will be stored in the inductor in the form of electromagnetic energy. At this point of time, some part of the energy will be available in the form of electromagnetic energy and the remaining part of the energy will be available in the capacitor in the form of electric field energy. Yes, in the previous step all the energy was available as electric field energy. Yes, then when the process continues, the charge on this capacitor becomes equal to 0, that is this will be completely discharged. Okay, that we can observe in the step 7. So here the charge in this capacitor is completely 0, that is this capacitor is completely discharged. When this capacitor is completely discharged, whatever energy was available, all the energy will be available in the form of electromagnetic energy which is stored in the inductor. At this point, the flux in this inductor will be maximum. Yes, again, so when the flux is maximum, that energy stored in the inductor, that again starts charging this capacitor in the step number 8 here. Okay, so the current starts flowing in this direction and the capacitor starts getting charged with the opposite polarity as previous capacitor polarities. Okay, so again the current flows in this circuit which charges this capacitor in the opposite polarity. Okay, and this cycle continuously repeats. Yes, so because of conversion of electric field energy into electromagnetic energy and electromagnetic energy into electric field energy and charging and discharging of this capacitor and magnetization and demagnetization of this coil continuously, there will be oscillations produced in this circuit. Okay, these oscillations produced because of this repeated process, we call them as LC oscillations, and this circuit we call it as LC oscillator circuit. Yes, in this figure we can see the variation of charge and current in the LC circuit with respect to time. Okay, so when the capacitor is fully charged, the charge in the capacitor is maximum. At that point there is no current in the circuit. Okay, so when the key is closed, when the current starts flowing, when the current starts increasing, the charge in the capacitor starts decreasing. Okay, that gets discharged. Okay, so when the charge in the capacitor is 0, we will have the maximum value of current. Okay, then again the capacitor starts getting charged in the opposite direction. Yes, at that point the current value is 0, and the same cycle repeats like this. Okay, and here we can see the amplitude of the oscillations created in the LC circuit. Yes, so if we assume the resistance is 0, here when the losses are assumed to be 0, we will have the undamped oscillations. Undamped oscillations are the oscillations whose amplitude is constant over the time. Okay, the amplitude does not change with the time. Such oscillations we call them as undamped oscillations. But practically an inductor capacitor circuit will have some finite resistance. Okay, so because of that finite resistance there is some loss of power, that is heat losses are given by I square R into T. Okay, so because of this loss of energy, gradually the amplitude of these LCR oscillations reduce like this. Okay, so this second figure indicates damped oscillations. Damped oscillations, these are the oscillations whose amplitude gradually reduces with time. Okay, practically observable oscillations are damped oscillations because LC circuit will have some finite resistance for the flow of current which reduces the energy. Hence, gradually with respect to time the oscillations amplitude gets reduced. Next we shall derive the expression for the frequency of these LC oscillations. Okay, for that let me consider a parallel LC circuit like this. Let this capacitor is fully charged. Okay, when the circuit is closed, there is flow of current through the circuit. Yes, this capacitor starts getting discharged. Yes, and because of this current there is EMF induced in the inductor whose value is given by E is equal to minus of L into di by dt. Okay, and at given time the EMF induced in this inductor will be equal to the potential difference across the plates of the capacitor, which is given by V. So I can write V is equal to minus of L into di divided by dt. Okay, and the same equation I can write it as V plus of L into di by dt is equal to 0. Okay, and for the capacitor I can write V is equal to Q divided by C. The same thing I substitute it here. I can write Q divided by C plus L into di by dt is equal to 0. Okay, and by the definition of electric current I can write I is equal to dq divided by dt, that is a rate of flow of electric charges. That I substitute here. I can write Q by C plus L into d by dt of dq divided by dt is equal to 0. Yes, the same equation I can write it as Q divided by C plus L into d square Q divided by dt square is equal to 0. Yes, divide the equation by L. I can get it as d square Q divided by dt square plus Q divided by LC is equal to 0. Okay, this equation can be compared with the standard equation of a simple harmonic motion, that is d square x divided by dt square plus omega square into x is equal to 0. Okay, by comparing these two equations, we can write omega square is equal to what? Omega square I can write it as 1 divided by LC. In place of x, here we have charge q. Yes, then by this I can write omega is equal to 1 divided by square root of LC. Okay, so omega is nothing but 2 pi f is equal to 1 divided by square root of LC, or I can write f is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of LC. Okay, this is the natural frequency of these LC oscillations. Next we shall see the concept of electrical resonance and the resonant frequency. Okay, let us consider LCR circuit which contains the inductor of inductance L, capacitor of capacitance C, and a resistor of resistance R connected across the alternating voltage source. V is equal to V0 of sin omega t. Yes, and we know the resultant voltage is given by V is equal to square root of VR square plus VL difference of VC whole square, or the impedance, the effective resistance of this series combination Z is given by root of R square plus XL difference of XC whole square, and the current through the circuit is given by I is equal to V divided by Z. Okay, electrical resonance, it is the state, it is the condition at which the current in the LCR circuit is maximum. Yes, and to get the maximum value of current, we have to have the minimum value of the impedance. Yes, so for the maximum value of the current, the impedance has to be minimum. Okay, and how to attain the minimum value of impedance? So for that, observe the equation of this impedance. Z is given by square root of R square plus XL minus of XC whole square. Okay, so what happens if XL is equal to XC? Yes, so if XL is equal to XC, so we can, this term gets vanished here. I can simply write Z is equal to root of R square plus 0. So Z will be equal to R. Yes, the contribution of these reactants will be minimum 0. Yes, so at that point the impedance will be equal to simply the resistance of the resistor. What happens here actually? For that, let us draw the phasor diagram. Yes, so this is the current I and this is the voltage across the resistor VR, and when XL is equal to XC, we can write VL will be equal to VC. Okay, and we know VL is along positive y axis and VC is along negative y axis. Okay, when VL is equal to VC, VL minus VC will be equal to 0. Okay, and the resultant voltage will be along x axis. So VR will be equal to resultant voltage here. Yes, so at the resonance XL will be equal to XC. So this voltage VL and VC, the voltages across the inductor and capacitor, they will be completely out of phase. Yes, so this VL cancels this VC, or this XL and XC gets cancelled each other because these are out of phase, they are opposite to each other. Okay, so at resonance Z will be equal to R and the resultant voltage will be equal to VR. Okay, so this is the condition to get the maximum value of the current through the LCR circuit. And to attain this resonance, we will have some specific value of the frequency. Yes, so what is the value of frequency to get this resonance? That we shall derive now. See here, we know for resonance XL must be equal to what? XC. Okay, XL is given by omega L. yes, and XC is given by 1 divided by omega C. Omega is same for both inductor as well as a capacitor. Okay, so let me substitute that. I will write it as 2 pi FR. F I am writing it as FR to denote it as a resonant frequency. 2 pi FR is equal to what? 1 divided by 2 pi FR into C. 2 pi FRL is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi FR into C. So these terms I take it to the LHS. I can write 4 pi square FR square is equal to 1 divided by LC. Yes, FR square is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi square LC. I can write FR is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of L into C. Yes, so this is the value of frequency to have the resonance in the LCR circuit. So this frequency we call it as a resonant frequency. This we call it as a resonant frequency. Yes, let us discuss the concept of a resonance curve and a quality factor, or simply we call it as a Q factor. Yes, we have seen the electric resonance is the state or the condition at which the current in the LCR circuit is a maximum. Yes, so let me consider an LCR circuit containing an inductor, capacitor and a resistor whose values are L, C and R. Okay, for the resonance to occur, we have seen the condition is XL must be equal to what? XC. Yes, or omega into L is equal to 1 divided by omega into C. Yes, so the current in the circuit depends on the frequency applied. Yes, so the variation of the current with respect to the frequency of the AC source, that is given by the resonance curve. So here what we do, I will draw current along a y-axis and the frequency of the AC along a x-axis. Okay, the current varies with frequency like this. Yes, so we will have curve something like this. For given value of resistance, this is the variation of the current for the different values of the frequency. Yes, at certain point we will have the maximum value of the current. At this point current is a maximum. Okay, and this value of omega we call it as a resonant frequency, omega R. Yes, so the curve which represents the variation of the alternating current with respect to the frequency of the AC source is called resonance curve. Yes, and for different values of the resistances, let us consider 3 resistance values, that is the value of the resistance of the resistor. So let this be the curve for the resistance R1. Okay, if I consider the higher value of resistance, see here we know Z is equal to what? Z is equal to root of R square plus XL minus of XC whole square. Okay, so as the value of R increases, Z also increases and current is given by V divided by Z. Yes, so as the resistance increases, the impedance also increases. As the impedance increases, the current has to reduce. Okay, so let us consider 3 different values of the resistances R1, R2 and R3 such that R1 is less than R2 which is less than R3. Okay, for such values of the resistances, let us consider there will be 3 different curves. Yes, so the second curve for the value of R2, with same L and C, that will be something like this. The curve will be little less sharper than the first one. Yes, so this curve is for, let us say it is for resistance value R2. Okay, similarly if I consider the resistance value of R3 which is greater than these 2 values, for that the current has to be still lesser because impedance will be more again. So the current flowing through the circuit will be still lesser. We observe the curve something like this. Yes, so as the value of the resistance increases, the sharpness of the curve decreases. That is observed by this figure. Okay, So this resonance curve, it is the curve which indicates the variation of the alternating current with respect to the frequency of AC, that is called a resonance curve. Yes, and the resonance curve is associated with a quality factor. So the relation between resonance curve, sharpness of the resonance curve and quality factor we shall discuss. Okay, for that quality factor or simply Q factor, it is the ratio of voltage applied across inductor, and the voltage applied across a resistor, that is VR, at resonance. Yes, so at resonance we know VL is also equal to what? VC. So Q can also be defined as VC divided by VR. Okay, at resonance we know the voltage across inductor is equal to the voltage across the capacitor. So quality factor can be defined as the ratio of the voltage across inductor or capacitor and the voltage across the resistor at a resonance in the circuit. Okay, so this is the mathematical definition of a quality factor. Using this equation, I can write it as Q is equal to VL is nothing but I into XL divided by VR is I into R. Okay, these two get cancelled. So I can write Q is equal to XL is nothing but omega into L divided by R. Yes, but omega is equal to what? Omega is equal to 1 divided by square root of LC. Let us substitute that. So at the value of resonance, I can write Q is equal to 1 divided by square root of LC into L divided by R. Okay, after simplifying this, I will get it as 1 divided by R square root of L divided by C. This is the expression for quality factor. Yes, it is the ratio of the voltage across inductor or capacitor and the voltage across resistor at a resonance in the LCR circuit. This quality factor can also be defined in terms of bandwidth of the resonance curve. So for that, let me consider a resonance curve here. Let me take only one curve. Yes, so this is the variation of the alternating current with respect to omega. Okay, so the value of the frequency corresponding to the maximum value of the current, that is I max, let us call it as a resonant frequency omega R. Okay, then let us consider the value of the current which is equal to IRMS. Yes, so IRMS, that will be somewhere here. So that is equal to IRMS, which is equal to I naught divided by square root of 2. Okay, so when the value of the current is equal to IRMS, that is equal to I naught divided by square root of 2, so we will have two values of the frequencies. Okay, so let us consider this is the first value of the frequency at which the current is equal to I naught divided by square root of 2. Yes, and that I will project it on the x-axis to get the value of omega 1. Omega 1 is the value of frequency at which the current is equal to I naught divided by root 2. Okay, similarly we will have another value of the frequency at which again we will have the value of the current equal, here also the value of current is I naught divided by root 2. So this corresponding frequency I call it as omega 2. Okay, so the difference between these two values of the frequencies, that is equal to delta omega, which is equal to omega 2 minus of omega 1, is called bandwidth of this resonant curve. Yes, so the bandwidth is, it is the difference of the frequencies corresponding to the RMS value of the alternating current. Okay, and we can observe here we will have two values of the frequencies at which the current is equal to I naught divided by root of 2 or IRMS. Okay, then omega R is the resonant frequency. Yes, quality factor Q is also defined as the ratio of resonant frequency and the bandwidth of a resonance curve, that is omega 2 minus of omega 1, or we can write it as Q is equal to omega r divided by delta omega, where delta omega is equal to omega 2 minus of omega 1. Yeah. And from this equation we can clearly observe that the quality factor is inversely proportional to the bandwidth. Yes. So, bandwidth indicates the difference in these two values omega 1 and omega 2. If the bandwidth is more, so these are the two values of omega 1 and omega 2, automatically sharpness will reduce. Okay. So, if the bandwidth is more, the sharpness will reduce. If the bandwidth is less, automatically the sharpness of the curve increases. Okay. So, observe here, if the quality factor is more, automatically this delta omega, that is bandwidth, will be less. Okay. When the bandwidth is less, the sharpness will increase, sharpness of the curve increases. Okay. Similarly, if the quality factor is low, that indicates the bandwidth is high. Okay. The bandwidth, that is omega 2 minus omega 1, is high. When the bandwidth increases, the sharpness of the curve automatically reduces. Okay. This is how the quality factor and the sharpness of the resonance curve are related. Okay. So, this is another way of defining quality factor. It is the ratio of resonance frequency and the bandwidth of resonance curve. Next, we shall discuss the power associated with different AC circuits. First, we shall consider a pure resistance circuit. So, we shall derive the expression for the average power associated with the resistance circuit. Okay. So, let us consider a pure resistance circuit. A resistor of resistance R, it is connected to the alternating source of voltage V is equal to V naught sin omega t. Yes, the power equation at any time t is given by P is equal to the instantaneous values of the voltage. Yes, let us consider at given time V is the voltage across the resistor. So, the power at any instant of time, it is the product of instantaneous voltage and instantaneous current at that point. Okay. So, we know the equation for instantaneous voltage is equal to what? V is equal to V naught of sin omega t, and I is given by I naught of sin omega t for the case of a circuit containing just a resistor. Okay. Let us substitute those values here. I can write P is equal to V is V naught of sin omega t and I is I naught of sin omega t. Okay. This I can write it as V naught into I naught into sin square omega t. Okay. So, this is the power at any time of t. Okay. And let us consider this power remains constant for very small duration of time dt. Okay. I will consider very small duration of time dt. So, for that very small interval of the time, let us assume this power is remaining constant. Okay. By the basic definition of power is equal to what? Work done divided by time taken. Yes. So, let us consider the work done to maintain the current, through this resistor for this very small duration of time. That work done, I will write it as dW. Okay. I am considering very small work done to maintain the current through the resistor for very small duration of time dt. Okay. That is given by dW. Yes. Work done is equal to what? Power into time. Power is nothing but V naught into I naught sin square omega t into dt. Okay. This is the magnitude of small work done to maintain the current through this resistor for very small duration of time dt. Yes. Now, let us consider the total work done for one complete cycle, of alternating current. So, to get that total work done, we have to integrate this equation. Okay. Let us integrate this dW between the time 0 to t. Okay. So, RHS also we shall integrate I will get it as integration of V naught I naught into sin square omega t dt between the limits 0 to t, that is the limits for the time. Initial time is 0, the final time is the time period, that is capital T. Okay, this will give me the total work done. Total work done is equal to V naught and I naught, those are the constant values, those I can take it outside. V naught into I naught, integration between the limits of 0 to capital T sin square omega t dt. Yes, this can be simplified as W is equal to V naught into I naught, integration between the limits sin square omega t, I can write it as 1 minus of cos 2 omega t divided by 2 into dt. Okay, let us separately integrate 1 by 2 and 1 by 2 cos 2 omega t. So I can write this work is equal to V naught into I naught, inside bracket I will integrate 1 by 2 into dt between the limits of 0 to t minus of 1 by 2 into, or better we shall take this 1 by 2 outside. Yes, so here I will have 1 V naught divided by I naught divided by 2, integration of 1 into dt minus of integration of cos 2 omega t into dt between the limits of 0 to t. Yes, then let us simplify it further. I will get this W is equal to what? V naught into I naught divided by 2, integration of 1 is nothing but t between the limits of 0 to capital T. Yes, minus of, so integration of cos 2 omega t, this is the simple harmonic motion, we get integration of cos 2 omega t is equal to 0. Okay, so I will get work is equal to V naught into I naught divided by 2, let us apply the upper limit, this will be capital T minus of 0. Okay, so I will get W is equal to V naught into I naught t divided by 2. Okay, this is the work done to maintain the current through the resistor for one complete cycle. And by the definition of power, the power for entire cycle is equal to what? P is equal to total work done divided by total time taken. Total time taken is capital T. Let us substitute the value of work here. I will get it as V naught I naught capital T divided by, here I will have 2 here, I will have 2, T get cancelled here. So I will get power is equal to V naught I naught divided by 2. Okay, this can be written as V naught divided by square root of 2 into I naught divided by square root of 2. So power I can write it as V naught by root 2, it is the RMS value of the voltage. So this I can write it as V RMS into I RMS. Okay, this is the expression for the power consumed in the pure resistor circuit for one complete cycle. Yes.